So today I was invited by Protocol Labs to talk about Filecoin borrowing market dynamics, something that Lester just touched upon. And so I'm going to give you a COINLIST perspective, really on the US side of the world. So before I dive in, a quick note on COINLIST. Maybe not all of you are familiar with the firm. So at a high level, COINLIST manages token sales, organizes token distributions and custody, and then allows for secondary trading of such tokens. So how is COINLIST involved in the Filecoin ecosystem? It might be obvious for a huge exchange such as Jobbé, less so for a smaller company such as us. COINLIST organized the fundraise of Filecoin about 3 years ago. So we organize all the fundraise, the investments and the SAFTs. And we also were contracted by Protocol Labs later on to organize the distribution of the Filecoin tokens, which means in practice that on mainnet day, when the SAFTs became Filecoin tokens, a large majority of early investors chose to receive those Filecoin tokens directly in their COINLIST wallet. All these investors had already KYC'd and onboarded with COINLIST 3 years prior because we ran the sale. So it was extremely simple for them to just come over and receive the Filecoin tokens in their COINLIST wallet. So what does this mean in practice? It means that COINLIST is going to oversee the distribution of 80 million Filecoin tokens between today and the end of the vesting period 3 years from now. About 80% of the entire Filecoin being distributed are going to be distributed in COINLIST wallets directly. It also means in practice that as of today, there is a little more than 2 million Filecoin tokens currently sitting in our users' wallets, vested and fully liquid, either available for trading or for lending or just for safe custody. So that makes COINLIST the largest custodian of Filecoin, of course, after Protocol Labs. We had been preparing for such a launch and for such an event for a long time. And we knew that after mainnet day, there would be a huge amount of interest from the borrower community to get access to Filecoin tokens, to borrow those tokens. And so COINLIST being such a large holder via our users, of course, of Filecoin, it was our responsibility to make sure that that market demand was met with appropriate supply. So this is for the high-level overview of what COINLIST is currently involved in this market. Now let's look a little deeper at the lending borrowing market of Filecoin and who does what. So first of all, who lends Filecoin? So up until today, we have limited the Filecoin lending product to 2 types of users: accredited investors, i.e. high net worth individuals, rich people, basically, and entities. Those entities are SPVs, family offices, venture capital firms, essentially who invested in Filecoin a while back, who were both lucky and smart 3 years ago, and who are now receiving large amounts of Filecoin every single day, block by block. And there is great news that I'm happy to share with you today, is that we are about to open Filecoin lending to everyone else on the platform. Anyone who holds 1 Filecoin on COINLIST will be able to lend it. So many people are holding Filecoin right now and would like to lend them. Why would they want to lend? It's super simple. They just want to earn yield. More and more, in 2020 has been the year of DeFi, most certainly, and the year of yields. And people now expect to be earning an interest rate on any asset that they possess in crypto. And it's certainly true for Filecoin. However, this infrastructure and those yields do not come magically. It has to be paid by someone. It can either come from a liquidity pool in the DeFi case, or it can also come from a borrower, someone who actually needs the tokens. So let's look into the borrower population now. Who are they? It's a very diverse set of players. First among which, by far, are miners, mostly based in Asia. There is also liquidity providers, and finally, OTC desks. So completely different type of people, types of businesses. So why are these players looking to borrow Filecoin? And something that Lester touched upon just a moment ago. For miners, again, the need is coming from the fact that there is a requirement to collateralize their operation with Filecoin to be able to grow their operation. As Lester said, many machines are sitting idle, not being actually put on the network because there is no Filecoin to collateralize such machines. So for a miner, the requirement to borrow Filecoin is high because it allows him to grow his business. For liquidity providers and OTC desks, it's a little different. They use Filecoin either as working capital or as futures curve arbitrage opportunity. The working capital side of things is fairly easy to grasp. Filecoin is a very hot commodity at the moment. It's brand new. It's trading on a bunch of exchanges. It's one of the top 20 cryptocurrency. As a result, prices among platforms worldwide will vary. Bid-offer spreads will vary. For market makers and arbitrageurs to be able to capture the price differences of Filecoin between China, Australia, France, and the US, they need to have Filecoin working capital to be able to buy and sell at the same time. The futures curve arbitrage is a little more complex. I'm not going to get into it. If you're interested, we can get into that during the Q&A. That's about it for the very high picture of lender and borrower. So as I said, COINLIST put together a marketplace about a month and a half ago to satisfy the need that borrowers had to borrow Filecoin and allow our lenders, COINLIST users, to earn an interest rate on the Filecoin sitting in their wallets. So what does that marketplace look like, and what have we done so far? So we started, as I said, early November 2020. Up to today, we've transacted a little more than $20 million worth of Filecoin loans, sourced from more than 1,000 lenders. Now, I want you to keep in mind that up until today, these 1,000 lenders are, by and large, accredited investors. So of course, some entities in there, some family offices, but the lion's share of it is accredited investors. By allowing that population to be open to more retail users, we're going to drastically increase that number and increase the size of the loans that we're going to be able to close. For COINLIST, the process is extremely efficient because the Filecoin is already in our custody. We only need to receive the Filecoin holder approval to lend such Filecoin and transfer the tokens around. Unlike other exchanges who need to receive the Filecoin or the user to buy the Filecoin, we are, by definition, the place where the Filecoin gets vested. So we are the #1 place where Filecoin really is being available. This is for the stat in the last, as I said, 60 days, give or take. Now, what does those loans look like? The loans economics are, for now, extremely simple. The loans are either 3 months or 6 months. This is mostly coming from the borrowers who don't necessarily want much shorter than that or much longer than that. For now, things can change and will change. They are fixed terms. Very important to stress that. It's a fixed interest rate on Filecoin. Why is it important for borrowers to have a fixed interest rate? Because they need to project their costs. It's very simple. The borrowing interest rate for a borrower is a cost, right? So either it's a cost of putting on a trade or a cost of collateralizing a rig, but at the end of the day, it's a cost that comes out just like any other cost. So if the interest rate is floating, such as what would be available via a DeFi implementation, it becomes a lot more complicated because if tomorrow my APY can double, maybe I have no reason to borrow that Filecoin. So for miners especially, it's important to be able to project in the future with some sort of certainty the size and APY at which they will be able to borrow. We have an LTV requirement that is fairly high at 85%, meaning that if you borrow 85 worth of Filecoin, you need to deposit 100 of collateral. We accept Bitcoin, Ether, USDC, and USDT, and of course, USD fiat. This number changes depending on the borrower we're facing, but usually 85% is the rough average that we've done so far. And finally, the APY, the interest rate at which the borrower takes the Filecoin, is best bid. What does that mean? So let's get into the details of the bidding process. Every Friday, COINLIST offers a certain amount of Filecoin to our onboarded borrowers. So we receive interest from our lenders from Saturday to Friday. Our lenders raise their hand and say, hey, I want to lend my Filecoin for 3 months, for 6 months. And we raise notional, we raise notional and raise notional. And every Friday we put a clip on auction. It might be 100,000 Filecoin, or like today, we closed 400,000 Filecoin just this morning with a number of borrowers. So it depends on the Friday. Sometimes it's big, sometimes it's a little smaller, never less than 100,000 Filecoin though. The loan size, we don't have to lend everything to one borrower. A borrower can borrow just a small amount of Filecoin, but we set that minimum size at 30,000 Filecoin. As I said, the total available size, minimum 100K total, sometimes way more, rarely less. And finally, the process is the following. We ask borrowers to place their firm bids and their size on Friday morning, which is either Friday evening China time, Friday morning US time. So we ask them, how many Filecoin would you like to get for what kind of interest rate? Maybe 50K at 30%, maybe 80K at 45%. So we get an order book that is not transparent. It's fully controlled by COINLIST, centralized. The idea here is that the best bid wins. So it's a price priority. So the person bidding the highest will get his size first, and then the second, and then the third. There is no last look. The process is fair. And we're not planning to productize this process because we're only dealing with, a dozen borrowers who anyway do not necessarily want to connect to a UI to run that process. They are happy to just transact directly OTC with us. So that is the rough overview of our product. Again, centralized every Friday, a reasonable size of Filecoin going for auction. And if a borrower wants to participate, he first has to onboard with us, and then he will be in the process and be involved every Friday into that auction scenario. So finally, I want to talk quickly about the volatility of Filecoin APY. Protocol Labs asked me to touch upon the future for the Filecoin borrowing market, and the Filecoin interest rates has been extremely volatile. Here I graphed the synthetic APY on Filecoin. I extract this data from the futures curve and the spot curve on different derivatives exchanges. So importantly, this is not the historical APY that COINLIST has transacted. This is the fair value in derivatives market, assuming you can access spot and futures. And again, something I can touch upon during the Q&A. But as you can see, it went from 250% in the first few weeks of launch to currently between 30 and 60%. It's still extremely volatile when you think that Bitcoin APY collateralized goes between 2 and 4% on any given year. Sometimes spikes around 5 or 6, but rarely above that. So, if Bitcoin is the UST bill, then Filecoin would be the triple C bond of an automaker. Extremely volatile. The future, though, points towards stabilization, something that is fairly clear in that graph. Loans will, APY will end up stabilizing around a fair market value. Why should that be the case? Because there is going to be increased supply. Mathematically, every single day there is more vesting happening, more people taking their Filecoin and more people lending those Filecoins. As I said, we lent $20 million of Filecoin in the last 2 months. This is probably going to double in the next couple of weeks because there's just a lot of Filecoin being vested every single day. So that will mean normalization of APY, less stressful for borrowers, of course. The process will be smoother because there is less uncertainty around the volatility from a week to another. And finally, of course, DeFi involvement. We just had a representative from REN come and show us the wrap Filecoin that they have. There's other wrap Filecoin out there. It is very interesting in that it opens Filecoin yield opportunities to the broader market. However, there are two things. As Lester pointed out, it is by nature open and transparent, which means that people can use your Filecoin to speculate. But mostly, DeFi still has not completely sorted out the fixed versus floating interest rate conundrum, which is really not a matter of building a feature, but of fixing the way the smart contracts are built. And not fixing it. It's just the way smart contracts are working now. And you would need a centralized party to take on the fixed versus floating risk. So this is I reached my 15 minutes. So this is the end for me. Thank you very much for listening in, and hopefully I'll be talking to you during the Q&A.